taken over predominantly by DARPA, which is a different agency entirely, back in 2006. And in 2006 was when they quadrupled the size, and that all of that funding actually came out of DARPA, not the Air Force. And there's essentially three branches that have been involved in this over the years. It's been the Air Force Research Lab, the Office of Naval Research, and more recently, since 2006 at least, DARPA. The other thing, just to be clear, is they say it's shut down since May, and at the same time they say, and I'm quoting from the article now, it says, adding that it will stay that way. Everything is in secure mode, he said, that's this program manager, adding that it will stay that way for at least another 4 to 6 weeks. In the meantime, a new prime contractor will be coming on board to run the government-owned contractor-operated facility. So what it's really saying is the Air Force is not funding it, it's being funded elsewhere, and that private contractors are essentially going to take over this facility. The other thing the article goes on to say is coming this fall and through the winter, there's an $8.8 million program being funded by DARPA, where they're going to utilize the instrument. So I think we could really kind of look at this as sort of a furlough, if you will, where it's being shut down for blocks of time where essentially it's not in use, and that saves the military between approximately $300,000 a month, I think, is what it costs to keep that operating. So temporary shutdown, no doubt about it. The permanency of this, the article is clear. It's not a permanent thing. It's just until they can get a private contractor on board to manage it. Now, the important thing about that, private contractors usually are exempt from things like the Freedom of Information Act.
That's right. That's
and so what they've done is, in my view, the article reads as if everything is going away, we don't even think about it anymore. But the real story is it's going deeper. They're taking it that one level deep where they spin it off from the military directly, spin it off from DARPA, so that they don't have the accountability requirements that they would have as a governmental agency. So none of that really surprises me too much. In fact, I would watch the federal budgets for anything related to ionospheric research, of which Haarp has been a major part of. And I think it was just a couple days ago, at least it was in our... It was a front-page lead story, was about the ionospheric disturbances caused by solar flares, and the fact that this could create another Carrington event, the event that occurred in I believe it was 1859.
It wiped out the telegraph system at the time.
Right, and so when you think about something that in the last couple of days has made major news around the world as a big concern of governments, I don't think it's likely they're going to shut down ionospheric research when at the same time they're saying this is a big deal. And actually, if you look at ionospheric research under the federal budget, you'll see this particular issue, the Carrington event kind of scenarios, are becoming, they show up more frequently in the federal budget as an item to pay attention to. The other thing to consider is a lot of the grants that feed research at Haarp were done through academic institutions who are obviously upset with the Air Force story. But again, private contractors stepping in, expect by fall for that to be in place. That reduces some costs for the government in one sense and shifts the money in a way where you can bury the project a little bit deeper in the federal budget. I think that's really what's going on, at least in this instance.
You think they want to hide these things a little bit more, Nick?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think more so now than ever. In fact, it's interesting. There was another story that has come out in the last few days, and I believe it's not true. I think it's false. Was that Snowden had released information on Haarp saying it was used for assassinations and massive control of populations, that somehow he had released some documents regarding that. I think that's false. I don't believe that's correct.
I haven't heard that either.
Yeah, and if you do a quick search on the net, you'll see dozens of postings now appearing if you tie Haarp and Snowden together. But in looking into it, there was one web source that actually tracked it down. Looks like there's another guy named Snowden, and somehow that just went a little bit viral prematurely. And none of that surprised me. Again, it's kind of get your attention sort of pointed in another direction, and I think that's what part of this is. And to see the Air Force come out and say, "Oh, we're not funding it anymore," it's history, we're going to bulldoze it, or whatever the story is, but at the same time, they're out there contracting with a private contractor. So really, it's, again...
Okay. For those of you that didn't hear Coast to Coast tonight, 17 July, that's my friend Nick Begich, and he's giving you the definitive answer you can best trust about what's really going on with the story surrounding Haarp. Go online, listen to Coast broadcast from tonight, and hear the rest of what Nick had to say. This is Two Wolves Out.